What was the hardest part about your deal other than like getting started? Like, was it your due diligence? Was it your prospecting? Like, what was the hardest part for you?
Prospecting. So I feel like because of my mindset and that block that I had about I can't spend money, I don't want to spend money, like I would do due diligence like crazy. And I think that was part of what got me into that, treating it like a hobby, was because I would do the due diligence. I'd, get the city that I wanted to go in, but then I'd get to the point where I'd even set up the ad and I'd like, can I do this? And I started second guessing myself. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me get a couple more. And I would just do due diligence after due diligence after due diligence. So I was able to, by the time I was like ready to pull the trigger and just start calling business owners, like I feel like I had gotten an idea of at least what a decent city is. And so I started running ads in 2 cities specifically, and one of them didn't pan out. One of them just I got a few calls, but they were more like inquiries, not so much people who were interested, and somebody wanted a job. So I was like, and that's all I got from that one. And this other one, I was getting leads coming in. So I'm like, okay, I'm focusing on this one. I'm going to set that one aside and pause that campaign, do it later. And I'm just going to jump in and get a business owner hooked on this other city in concrete.
That's so awesome. It's funny you say that because prospecting is like one of the hardest things. And I feel like when you first start, like I remember I watched videos after videos and I thought I was doing something. I was like, oh dude, I'm working, I'm getting stuff done. And then you get a deal and you're like, dude, I wasted so much time on stuff that like I didn't need to worry about. So it's such a game change. And you can't, it's hard to tell somebody, like people watching this are going to be like, I don't know what you mean, but like people that have gotten deals, you're like, dude, we all kind of do this. We go in this phase where, because when I was thought about Google, I was like, dude, how am I supposed to like Google? Like, I feel like I'm going to get a million suspensions because I don't know what I'm doing. I've never even like thought about SEO. Like there's so many things that were just like so iffy. But then finally I was like, dude, let's just try it. Like worst thing that happens is I completely fail, whatever. But like there's so many people in the group like yourself that have gotten deals. Like it's going to work, but maybe it's going to take me a little bit longer. But that was like my biggest thing, was like, just do it.
Yep.
So that's awesome. So with prospecting, how did you kind of overcome that little speed bump, you would say, of like finding the right guy? Did you go through a couple guys, or did you find the right guy the first time? Like, how did that go about?
Yeah. So I made my list, right? I did the due diligence. I went through and found everybody I could that looked like they were paying for something. Even as I was doing that, I found a couple others that maybe I came across their Facebook page or something like that in the area. And I called probably like 7 or 8 business owners. And some of them initially were just like, no, that's not for me. I'm just like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to try to have the argument. I'm just going to find the business owner that's going to be interested. I got one guy that he said, yeah, that sounds great. And I started sending him leads, and I sent him like 3 or 4, and I kept trying to follow up, and he just ghosted me. And I had gotten like to the end of my list. So I'm like, well, now I've had at least these 4 leads, and there's more that are going to be coming in. I got to find somebody for him. So I almost got like desperate, because I'm like, I think it shifted for me too. I'm like, wait, I'm paying for this. If I just let these go, I'm throwing away my money, right? So I was like, I gotta do this some more. So I actually went in, because I had run out on my list, I went in and did another round of like finding people. And this new guy came up, and he was hungry. He started like in June. And so he didn't show up for some reason on the first go around. And the second go around, I called him. He's like, yeah, I'm interested. I know things are going to slow down. I need to supplement this thing. And so I had those 4 people. I called them back. I'm like, hey, did so-and-so ever get back to you? They're like, no. I'm like, hey, I'm sorry. He ghosted me too. Let me get you connected with this other person. We'll get you taken care of. And one of them was a good deal. It's like $6,000, and they were ready to go. And one was like a $500, just they needed some leveling on their driveway or something like that. And so that wasn't as enticing. But the third one was like a $3,000. So there was some good money in those 3-4 leads. And the business owner, like I sent him those 3. He called me back and he's like, so I'm interested. Like, you've already sent me these 3. Obviously this works. What's going on? And so like you said, you were saying this before, like you don't want to give them too much information. And I wasn't prepared to have this conversation at the time. It was just a phone call. And I was just going to follow up on the leads. Like, yeah, how's it going? Did you get it closed? Like all that. And I was listening in, right? So I knew that this was happening, but I didn't want him to know that I was listening in. I'm like, so how did it go? All this stuff. And he goes, yeah, so I'm interested. So what's next? I'm like, well, let's schedule something. I'd like to sit down maybe 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes max. We'll figure if this is the right fit. He's like, okay, so yeah, like if it is the right fit. And he just kept asking questions like, you know what? He's chomping at the bit right now I'm just going to jump on this. Kind of went off script a little bit, right? And I just said, this is what I do. I do a flat fee. I do a XYZ, how I'd set it up. And we negotiated a couple other things. And he didn't have a Facebook page, doesn't have a map pack spot. He didn't have those things. So I'm like, I can help you out with those too. So anyway, it expanded a little bit from there, and it was definitely not what I was expecting, not how I was expecting it to happen. But I think there was a little bit of that desperation, and then the connection was made, and we both were happy so far. So this is good.